On Friday, something happened over Iran that the Pentagon had been insisting was impossible. An American F-15E Strike Eagle, one of the most advanced fighter aircraft in the U.S. inventory, was shot down by Iranian air defenses. The first American plane down by enemy fire in this entire war. Both crew members ejected successfully over the mountains near Isfahan. And what followed was a 48-hour rescue operation so chaotic, so costly, and so revealing that it has fundamentally changed the conversation about what American air dominance over Iran actually means. The pilot was recovered first, pulled out in broad daylight on Friday in an operation that U.S. officials described as taking 7 hours over Iranian airspace. The weapons systems officer, a colonel, was not so fortunate. He landed in what Trump later described as the treacherous mountains of Iran, with Iranian military forces closing in. For 2 full days, there was no public word about his status. The Pentagon went silent. Iranian state media broadcast footage of the ejection seats and called on the public to help find the enemy pilot. The IRGC dispatched ground units into the mountains to hunt him down. Then, overnight Sunday, the word came through. The second airman had been recovered. Trump announced it on social media with the words, "We got him," and called it one of the most daring search and rescue operations in U.S. history. He said the airman was seriously wounded but would survive. He said the Iranian military had been searching in big numbers and getting close. And then the details of how the rescue actually unfolded started to emerge, and they painted a picture far more complicated than a triumphant extraction. Meanwhile, please leave your questions or comments in the comments section. I will answer each one individually as time permits. Also, I would be very happy if you liked the video and subscribe to my channel. Now, let's continue. According to U.S. officials speaking to ABC News, the rescue operation involved dozens of aircraft and unfolded over several hours deep inside Iranian territory. 2 MC-130J Commando 2 aircraft, the specialized special operations transports designed specifically for infiltrating hostile airspace, flew into Iran and landed at an austere staging location in Isfahan province. From that forward strip, MH-6 Little Bird helicopters, the compact special operations aircraft used for insertion into terrain too rough for larger platforms, ferried personnel into the mountains to locate and extract the downed colonel. The CIA played a direct role, launching a deception campaign inside Iran to spread false information that American forces had already found the airman and were moving him on the ground. Agency assets helped pinpoint his actual location, described by officials as the ultimate needle in a haystack, a man hiding inside a mountain crevice while Iranian forces tightened the search perimeter around him. But here is where the story turns from daring rescue into something that should set off alarms in every strategic planning office in Washington. Both MC-130J aircraft that landed inside Iran became disabled. U.S. officials told ABC News that both suffered mechanical issues on the ground. They could not take off. 2 $67 million special operations transports, stranded on Iranian soil, unable to fly, with Iranian forces actively searching the area. The decision was made to deliberately destroy both aircraft rather than let them fall into Iranian hands. Demolition charges were placed. The planes were blown up on the ground. 4 MH-6 Little Bird helicopters used in the operation were also intentionally destroyed. 3 additional replacement aircraft had to be flown into Iran to extract the rescued airmen and all the special operations teams that were now stranded alongside him. Meanwhile, 2 Black Hawk helicopters that had been part of the initial Friday rescue of the pilot also took Iranian fire during their mission. Crew members were injured but managed to return to safety. And an A-10 Warthog providing close air support during that same Friday operation was hit by Iranian fire, forced to limp back to Kuwait, where the pilot ejected safely before the aircraft crashed. That is a second American combat aircraft lost in the same 72-hour window. Added up, 1 F-15E shot down, 1 A-10 lost, 2 MC-130J transports destroyed on the ground, 4 Little Bird helicopters destroyed, 2 Black Hawks damaged with crew injuries. In the span of 3 days, the United States lost or deliberately destroyed at least 8 aircraft in connection with a single rescue operation. The financial cost in airframes alone is staggering. The 2 MC 130JS carry a baseline cost of roughly $67 million each, but fully equipped for special operations, the replacement cost approaches $90 million per aircraft. The F-15E runs over $87 million. The A-10, the Little Birds, the damage to the Black Hawks. Conservative estimates put the total hardware losses well above $300 million. Iran's version of events is predictably different and worth examining for what it reveals about how Tehran is framing this to its own population and to the world. The IRGC claimed it shot down the C-130s and the helicopters in a coordinated ambush, calling it a joint operation involving aerospace forces, ground units, police commandos, and base-age volunteers. Iranian state media drew explicit parallels to the 1980 Operation Eagle Claw disaster at Desert One, when an American rescue mission to free hostages in Tehran ended in catastrophe, with 8 servicemen dead and multiple aircraft destroyed in the Iranian desert. Press TV ran side-by-side images of the 1980 wreckage and the 2026 wreckage. The comparison was unmistakable and deliberate. The U.S. account and the Iranian account cannot both be fully true. Washington says the MC-130JS were disabled by mechanical failure and deliberately destroyed by American forces. Tehran says they were shot down in combat. Flight Global reported that photos show the charred remains of 2 fixed-wing transports and what appear to be remnants of Little Bird helicopters on a flat desert pan in Isfahan province, consistent with a deliberate destruction at a landing site rather than aircraft shot out of the sky. The wreckage pattern matters. Aircraft destroyed on the ground after landing look different from aircraft that broke apart in the air. But regardless of which account is more accurate, the operational reality is the same. The United States sent a major special operations package deep into Iranian territory, lost or destroyed every aircraft involved in the ground phase of the mission, took fire on multiple platforms across 2 separate rescue attempts, and needed emergency replacement flights to get its own people out. Trump framed it as a victory, and in the narrowest sense, it was. Both crew members are alive. The rescue succeeded in its primary objective. No American was killed. Those are facts worth acknowledging. But the cost of that success exposes something the administration has been aggressively denying for 5 weeks. Iranian air defenses are not destroyed. They are not degraded beyond operational capability. They are functional enough to shoot down an F-15E at 28,000 feet, hit an A-10 providing close air support, damage Black Hawks on a rescue run, and create an operational environment so hostile that 2 MC-130JS could not safely take off from a forward position inside Iran. Just days before this incident, both Trump and Defense Secretary Hegseth were publicly declaring that Iran had no air defenses left. Hegseth said the U.S. had achieved overwhelming air dominance. Trump said Iran had nothing. Then an F-15E fell out of the sky, and the entire premise collapsed in real time. The gap between the rhetoric and the reality has been a running theme of this war, but this week it became impossible to paper over. You cannot simultaneously claim total air superiority and lose 8 aircraft in 72 hours connected to a single downed jet. The strategic implications go beyond the hardware. Every American pilot flying missions over Iran now has concrete evidence that ejecting over hostile territory triggers a rescue chain that is extraordinarily dangerous for everyone involved. The people sent to save you may lose their own aircraft. The special operations teams inserted to find you may end up stranded alongside you. The supporting aircraft may take fire and go down. That knowledge does not make pilots stop flying, but it changes how they fly, how much risk mission planners are willing to accept, and how aggressively the air campaign can be prosecuted. When the rescue architecture becomes a vulnerability, the entire operational tempo adjusts downward. Iran understands this. The IRGC has studied American personnel recovery doctrine for decades. They know that the United States will always try to recover its people, and they know that the recovery missions create secondary targeting opportunities. Whether the MC-130JS were shot down or simply broke, whether the ambush narrative is Iranian propaganda or partially true, the effect is identical. The next time an American aircraft goes down over Iran, the decision to send a rescue package becomes exponentially harder. The costs demonstrated in Isfahan will weigh on every subsequent call. The 1980 Desert One comparison that Iranian media is pushing is crude propaganda, but it is not entirely without resonance. In both cases, American Special Operations Forces flew deep into Iran to execute a high-stakes personnel mission. In both cases, aircraft were lost on Iranian soil. In both cases, the wreckage was displayed to the world as evidence of American vulnerability. The differences are significant. Eagle Claw killed 8 Americans and failed in its objective. The Isfahan rescue lost no lives and succeeded. But the imagery of destroyed American aircraft on Iranian ground carries a psychological and strategic weight that transcends the operational details. It says something to every watching government, every ally, every adversary, about the limits of American power projection even at its most determined. Trump will hold a press conference to discuss the operation. He will frame it as proof of American bravery, resolve, and military capability. And it was all of those things. But it was also proof that 5 weeks and billions of dollars of sustained air strikes have not made Iranian airspace safe for American aircraft. That contradiction is the story, not the heroism of the rescue, which was real, but the fact that it was necessary at all in an airspace the administration claimed to own completely. The next F-15E pilot strapping into a cockpit for a mission over Isfahan is going to remember what happened this week. And so is every Iranian air defense operator watching the wreckage footage and understanding, for the first time with certainty, that the most expensive military on earth can be made to bleed.